for both of you. First thing is obviously to lift players' squads after your respective weekends.
Yeah, obviously a disappointing weekend. From our point of view, it was a one-off game that we've in that competition with 5 wins out of 6 and some good performances we were really looking forward to. And for 50 minutes, a performance that we were actually going back on review and looked at was really positive. And then we saw a 14-minute, I can't explain it more than a collapse and an unacceptable collapse and a disappointment and some errors that really cost us. But you move on. We've got Ulster this weekend, a massive game for us away from home, another big challenge, and then straight after that, turn around into Judgment Day, a competition, a day now that has been a huge success. And I know the boys are extremely motivated to play the Ospreys here, and it doesn't get bigger than that, and one that we'll hopefully build over the next 2 weeks towards.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, hugely disappointing that we let ourselves down. We let down a hardcore group of fans. 12,000 people came to watch us here on Sunday, and we didn't deliver. On a knockout stage, that's tough to take, but we've got to take it on the chin. There's been some learning and accountability drawn up today around the way we play and the decision making and around the way we play and how we can smarten up things there. But likewise, we've got to move on pretty quickly, and we're really excited about a home game Saturday against Leinster. First play third, there's all to play for on the top 4, and we've got, obviously one tournament has gone, but huge ambition within this tournament. But we've got to get ourselves right for this working week and then move on to the next.
Danny, it's been a few days. Have you been able to sort of put your finger on any particular reason why the second half went the way it did?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. There's a 14-minute, 51 minutes where we're in a controlling sort of situation. We had an opportunity in high field position that we missed, but we felt we were building enough territory and possession. I think the stats were very heavily in our favour come the end of the game, 60% territory and possession in our favour. So we certainly built ourselves into a position to be able to go and win the game. And then we saw a turning point, a huge error from perhaps trying to run out of our own 22 from an exit that leads to eventually a try. And then literally the next, we don't see the ball again for two more opportunist tries from them. That the game's dead and buried. And how quickly it can turn, and it turned in for us in sort of 11-12 minutes. And like I said, the frustration for us was, as we debriefed today, was built on how we got things so right for 50 minutes and looked like we were in a very controlling position, and probably the scoreboard should have been more in our favour, to a position where the scoreboard is very, very heavily against us. And it's something that we've got to toughen up with, especially at Cardiff Blues. We see too many of those types where we can beat anyone on our day and lose to anyone on our day, or in a game we can have very strong periods and then quickly turn into periods of negativity that we saw on the weekend. And ultimately it's about us becoming more consistent and becoming mentally far tougher and more robust to deal with those situations, which we'll keep working towards.
Danny, you had the same problem at the Ospreys earlier in the season, and you were in charge of that game for a while, and then it turned. So how much of a concern is it overall?
Well, you've seen the other side of that, as you know. We've gone to Munster and built ourselves back into a game, beaten Munster away from home, good wins against Bath at home, gone out to France and won in France. We've won more away games this year than we did last year. But you're dead right, Andy, what we've got is an inconsistency. We can go and string together some big results and get through some mentally tough periods. I mean, just recently, Edinburgh, and defending for nearly 20 phases at the end of the game, pinch an away win at a tough venue, to then seeing our defence collapse off first phase as it did on Saturday, and no one's hiding away from that. It was poor, and it's an inconsistency that we have at the Blues at the moment. When we're good, we're good. When we're bad, and it's certainly our goal to reproduce that quality stuff that we can. But it's built on. Has to be built on foundations of one being defence, and our defensive record hasn't been good enough, as we know, and we need to do something about that.
Gruff, this weekend's a pretty important one for you too, isn't it? They're flying high after a good European weekend, and you're not.
Yeah, it's when we've got to relish, getting back down the Liberty, and full respect for what Leinster have done, not just last weekend but all season. They've put together good brand of rugby. They'll certainly challenge our defensive structures through some of the different options they've got. And likewise defensively, they present a good challenge in terms of some of the physicality and speed they try and exert on you. But we've got to adapt to that, and as I said, look forward to it. We've taken something from the weekend, but it's about moving forward again in the league competition. Something we've been aspiring to all season. We put ourselves in a good position, and we've got to just try and capitalise on that and look forward to this and the remaining fixtures accordingly. I enjoyed the Blues performance out in Dublin a couple of weeks ago, in terms of where they really pushed them to the hilt, and it was a game that could have gone the Blues' way also. So it'll be interesting to see how Leinster come and approach us. I'm sure it'll be a positive open game, and we've got to relish that type of game, but probably individually and within the structures we've got, understand where and how we've got to take the sting out of Leinster also. Yeah, he and we certainly wouldn't consider in any way, shape or form. I know he enjoys the rivalry. Just playing Leinster Osprey games against Johnny Sexton, they go back a number of years. They've had some great battles head to head, likewise at national level, and they both enjoy running their team and how they operate around the park, both offensively and being pretty physical defenders also. So it'll just be a byproduct, I think, of what they've done, but also I think Dan, like other players in our squad, just wants to do himself justice over the next few weeks, hoping the season can last as long as possible.
Gruff, is there any further update on Alan Jones? How's he progressing?
No further update. He's still working his way through the procedures, and we'd hope to know more in the next week or so, but no, there's nothing forthcoming.
Looking ahead to the Judgment Day game, we've talked a bit about how the Blues kind of go one way or the other. Does that make them a dangerous team to sort of prepare for?
Yeah, can do. Like I said, my only reference to the Blues is the Leinster game I watched recently, and I'm really impressed with how dangerous they were around certain situations in the game. And like a lot of sides, you've got to try and minimise that. And yeah, well, I think we'll move on to the Blues once we get through this working week. And fully supportive of the Judgment Day. It's one that's fantastic to have in the calendar for regional rugby and the partnership we've got with the governing body. But I'm also pretty mindful of Leinster this weekend.
Danny, you've mentioned the success of Judgment Day over the years and obviously what that brings to Welsh domestic rugby. How much in terms of, for you and your team, does it play in your calendar? How significant is it, considering that the games are held in your backyard?
Yeah, it's obviously fantastic to play a derby, to play the Ospreys in the Millennium Stadium with a huge crowd is exactly the games you would have thought everybody would be motivated to play in. Players, staff, everybody involved. It's a great occasion, as Gruff has alluded to, and I think it's one that we look forward to. But like Gruff, we can't really get too carried away with Judgment Day quite yet. We've got Ulster away from home on the weekend, coming off the back of a disappointing result in Europe. So we've focused on trying to get that right. We've trained well today. We've got a very short week. We only trained today and a team run Thursday, and we're back out there. So we although we'll, as I imagine the Ospreys we'll meet at the end of this week to talk about the Ospreys. For now, it's about Ulster and then moving on to what will be an exciting week, an exciting build-up. I think the other thing that we all look forward to is seeing those head-to-heads, seeing those internationals go against each other, and the rivalry that derbies produce on any given day is fantastic. To have it in this stadium in front of a big crowd is great, and long may it continue.
How do the players look forward to this game, Judgment Day? We heard from the Dragons and Scarlet's coaches there's a real palpable sense of excitement. They're disappointed those who don't make the cut, they're disappointed to miss out. Is it very much the same for Ospreys and Blues players as well?
Yeah, from my end, definitely. It's obviously these boys want to be playing rugby regularly, but week in, week out. But these are the types of games that the kind of feel of a cup final, a big day out in a big stadium in front of a big crowd. It's the stuff that are motivating factors for why boys play rugby and put in the hours they put in, is to play in these types of games. I think we also know, let's not hide away from it. It's great for boys who want to go on summer tour, boys who want to put last bids for Lions selection, stuff like that. These derbies are the closest thing really to intensity-wise to international rugby, and therefore a great judge for Rob Howley and his staff, and for Rob McBride and so on going into the summer.
Do you echo that, Griff?
Yeah, by and large. I mean, for a lot of us, I think a lot of the senior players, the preparation and the detail doesn't change in terms of what you put in Monday, Tuesday. Your working processes have got to be pretty accurate, and I think then you get towards the back end of the week and yeah, you start to get excited around perhaps a couple of the different routines and how you would have to adapt to a couple of different things. You know, and relish, you know, playing on that stadium. But as I said, in terms of the game itself, the opponents we play and what we try and put on the park, you know, not much changes. We just try and focus on what we do, whilst obviously giving credence to how we prepare for the opposition.
Gruff, you lost 2 in a row now, both competitions. You're in a situation now where you face 4 cup finals in the league in the regular season. All
big games. I'm not sure whether you class them all as cup finals. I mean, we don't know. I mean, there's a lot to play in terms of sides playing each other. We'll just, I know it's a cliche, but focus on this weekend. The Leinster game does become hugely important for us. We've put 2 poor performances in, to put it mildly, for different reasons on each, in terms of the mindset of Reza away and where we were and air account on the weekend. But like I said, that's just got to give us some ammunition to, you know, put things right in front of our home fans this Saturday. And then, as I said, we'll move to the next one. You know, I think they'll probably grow in importance each week, whether you win or lose this week. The Blues games become even more important. But as I said, only on the back of what happens this week.
I guess as well, Leinster be looking to eliminate you now, wouldn't they? Because the problems they've had against you in the final in the past.
Yeah, maybe. I think they've obviously got a different competition to manage now. There's, you know, the island's welfare, the loads and some of their players. So you try and perhaps second guess some of their selections. Would they go heavy for us and then think Connacht away the week prior to Europe? Well, that might be their rest window. I don't know. We'll prepare for a side we know is going to be pretty intense coming to the Liberty. They've got threats across the park, and, you know, truth be told, you look at them in the Six Nations window without the internationals, they shone. And then boys come back in and they've obviously got the depth just to, you know, put some substantially good rugby on the field. So there is some individuals within it. As I said, you can perhaps try and look at some things around selection, but it doesn't overly change your approach to how we attack and defend.
A big crowd last weekend in Cardiff. You hope for a big one in Swansea this week? Prime fixture?
Yeah, I really hope so. I mean, Saturday afternoon rugby is a traditional window, and you know, think it is the time, hopefully, for fans to come out and show, you know, we've put a good brand of rugby on the park for majority of the season. Certainly our home games in particular, you know, have given us and the fans something to be proud of. But it's only put us in the position that we're challenging. We've got to try and, you know, push beyond that now and put good performances in to end the season. And I think, as I said, we owe probably a few people something after the last 2 weekends.